All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. Oh my freaking God, things are falling all over the place over here. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to another live stream. I'm here with Josh, aka the Brave Bison himself of the Jay Courage Show. Josh, what's going on? How are you? How you doing?
Just hanging out, man. Getting a lot of stuff done today. I've been on a roll with like eBay stuff, so I've been doing a lot of that this morning. And outside of that, just coming up with ideas, which is just a non-stop process in my freaking crazy brain. Playing catch up all the time, hanging with my kids, all that sort of stuff, man. It's just never ending, man. Give me my list. My list. Every time I knock 2 or 3 things off, there's another 15 things that go on. So my list is like 6,000 pages long at this point. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's how it feels.
Yeah, that's one thing I really need to ask you that I even have in my questions. I was like, I don't know how this guy does it. Like, he's a dad, he's always with his kids, and then he's always exercising, and then I always see you packing or shipping something, and then you always have the energy to be on live, and then your lives always like you don't have a short live stream either. Your lives go on, and everyone's like, it grows from just being a few people, and then the longer it goes, the more people get in. So it's like it just adds on for you to just keep going on. I'm like, yo, how does this guy do it? Where does he get the energy from? Like,
You know what's funny, man? Like that is one of my questions that I ask people all the time. And what I realized, so I never understood it. So I had a lot of friends. I was a gym owner for years and years and years. I've been in the fitness industry for 20 plus. I mean, I stopped counting after 20 years. So it's been a while. And I've made a lot of friends. Being an entrepreneur, being a business of a business owner of multiple businesses and stuff like that. I've met a lot of people who, from my perspective, are like, 10x what I do. And I sit there and I'm almost like, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And what I pieced together over the years is that, like, and I'll tell you how it clicked with me, but is that when you just start doing it, it just kind of happens. It's sort of natural, especially, and as Gary Vee always says, like, if you're really passionate about it and you like it. So it clicked with me with having kids, right? I have a 5.5 and a 3.5-year-old. And I remember when we had the first kid, it was like, man, how do parents do this sort of stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of 4 kids. My wife's mother, so my mother-in-law is one of 13 kids. I'm like, how did freaking people do this? And then we're like, okay, we're about to have a second kid. I'm like, man, I can't even wrap my head around this. How are we supposed to handle a second kid? And somebody very early on said, you just expand. Like the human ability, the human mind, the human soul, whatever it is, just expands when it needs to. And when things come in that are important and that are meaningful and that deeply connect to you, you just expand to accept it. And I was like, I don't even understand that. And then we had a second kid, and I just went whoop, and expanded. I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I get it.
yeah, it's true. It's
Right?
I have 2 kids myself, and I think it's one of those things that you think you're not ready for it, or you think it's going to be too much, and then it's whether it's adapting or just being a parent or whatever it is, but it's like you start realizing that it's really not that difficult, and then you start understanding also that it's really like a bonus. Like, you get like this extra like boost of energy, you know what I'm saying, of extra love, of extra energy, of extra focus, and you're more determined to do things and not fail. And
Exactly.
I love that, man.
We're capable of so much.
Exactly.
I personally think all people, even people who don't necessarily have, a Gary Vee capacity or Elon Musk capacity or whatever. I mean, I'm sure as hell not even close to those guys, but like, we all are capable of so much more than we think. I think the problem is we never test ourselves. Like, I view that, and I talk about it all the time in the fitness world, where like people are like, how the hell do you do this? How do you train for it, you prepare for it, and you're fine. You can do it. Anybody can do it. Like, anybody can go run a marathon. I've run 12 marathons at 230 pounds. Like, that was inconceivable, but I trained for it, and then I expanded and I adapted, and I was able to do it. So, like, we're all capable of so much, but we're sort of surrounded by, and even sort of like even sort of pushed towards not trying and not doing it. We're surrounded by comfort. So this is something I talk about all the time.
Yep.
We're surrounded by comforts, and we're marketed towards comforts, and we're applauded for accepting comforts. You know what I mean? Oh, just take some time off. Just chill out. I know you're stressed. Like, we are capable of so freaking much if we allow ourselves to do it. And from my perspective, it's, it's a lot easier to do that when you're doing something you're passionate about. So like I love fitness. I'm more passionate about fitness than I am about this crap. You know what I mean? So like it is never I've had some crazy negative experiences and hard times and struggles and everything like that. But for the most part, over the 20 plus years, I've loved it. I've loved it like crazy. In fact, right before we connected, I was actually along amongst other things too with eBay and things like that. I was actually programming a new venture I have. I was actually sitting here. I have a big spreadsheet up behind this screen right now, and I'm doing a big program that I'm designing. I just love it. I love it. And then this stuff happens, I mean, this is insane. And it's just fun and it's cool and it's a cool experience. And I do have all these issues that pop up and maybe this happened and it's annoying or this happened and that's annoying or this happened. It's really tough. Or like right now, I literally have zero inventory and I'm waiting for a bunch of stuff that I've been working on for months to come in. And it's hard and it's challenging, but that's the point. It has to be, man. It's supposed to be, or else it's not rewarding, or else it doesn't help you build. That those challenges and those struggles help you build and adapt and change and excel. And I freaking love it, man. I love doing this stuff and connecting to you and connecting to everybody that comes in. You know what I mean? Like over the past 3 years, there's just been this like massive influx and outflux of people. And overall it's a net increase of people coming in. And like, I never in a trillion years thought I'd like talk to like not just talk to Gary, like meet him and say hi, but then like be on moving up on the level of like being able to sort of send an email, he'll respond. He knows exactly who I like. That's crazy to me. That's so weird to me. All this stuff is just I'm just riding a wave. I'm riding a wave that I feel like I'm in control of that. But I'm also completely not in control of it because that's what life is. So like, how do I handle all this sort of stuff? Because I just like doing it and it's fun for the most part. And yes, there are definitely times where I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm so overwhelmed. But aren't we all like that about everything? I mean, some people feel that way and they're not working and they don't have kids.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
And I felt that way when I didn't have kids and I didn't have a wife and I didn't have tons and tons of responsibility. I felt that way all the time. And now I have 2 jobs and a wife and 2 kids, and I feel that way all the time. So, you know what I mean? What's the difference? So that's just sort of how it is, man.
But before we go any further, because you touched on a lot of things that I want to ask you about, and I think are very important. From being with your kids, being a father, being into fitness, you saying how all this came from nothing. Being into VeeFriends, and how you mentioned from just being a fan of it and just being in the community to now to the point that you've been dedicated to it so much that it's like you said, like you didn't think it would get to the point where you can have this access to Gary or you'd be able to talk to him, or because I've seen him, he goes into your streams and he interacts in the chat and he does the same with the other guys. So it's like, it's crazy to see it.
He threatens to fight me online.
Exactly. But that's the thing. It's just so, and the fact that he even acknowledges that, you get what I'm saying, is just, it's pretty mind blowing. But what makes it more interesting is the fact from seeing it from my perspective or another person's perspective who's been seeing it from the beginning as it grows and builds up. That's what makes it even more interesting and makes people want to root for you even more, is you see it, that this person's earned it, so it makes you value it more. It makes you appreciate it more. And I feel like everyone feels more when you do live streaming and you're creating content, even with Gary and a person like yourself, and you do it so consistently and the same people keep showing up every week. It's just to the point that you make your own little community. You have your own set of friends, your own family, your own people that, you reach out to that, give you real feedback and actually care because they value what you've been doing. They know the value behind your potential. They've seen it. They see that you're not faking the funk. They see that you actually care about this and that you're actually interested, and you take the time to either explain it or express it or to create this. And it doesn't matter. You take the time out the day to show that you care about it enough to share it with other people. And before we go any further with any of that, I wanted to know if you could just quickly just share a little bit about yourself and your journey into this world of health and fitness and live streaming. And as we go on, I want to start touching on things from VeeFriends and how you got into live streaming and being a dad, because I know that there's so many people out there, whether they're in the community or not, there's a lot of fathers or mothers or people. It's like you say, like a lot of people claim that they don't have the time and they're struggling and everything, and they don't even have kids or a job. But yet you didn't let any of those things stop you. You know what I mean? And now, so the point that you went from you didn't have that, now you have 2 jobs and you have 2 kids. And so it's like, can you go a little bit about that, of how you went from just having things feel like you didn't have anything that you were doing in the sense of like live streaming, or you were just focused on the regular stuff, to now this kind of, like you said, it just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, like, oh boy. All right, let's so obviously I 100% into fitness stuff. I got into fitness through baseball. So in college, I was a baseball player in college. I got a scholarship, a bunch of baseball scholarships. That was sort of my why I went to school, was to play baseball, honestly. It was like the minor leagues of the minor leagues to me. That was my intention. So my goal was to ultimately become a baseball player. Real quick, I'll share this with you. This was thrown out there when they did the behind the PFP, but I never talk about it. In high school, for like 4 years I trained classically in opera, and
Nice.
because my girlfriend at the time was an opera singer, and I was like, I want to do that too. And I like auditioned for this like exclusive coach in Rockville, Maryland, and she only had like 3 students, and she was like, yes, I'll audition you. So I came in there and auditioned. She was like, yep, I'll accept you. It was crazy. So I was going in there all the time doing all this stuff. And in college, I took this course. We had this. I was in Siena College, which is in upstate New York, and not too far from there, like an hour and a half, is where in Cooperstown, New York, the Baseball Hall of Fame. And there's also an opera company there, the Glimmerglass Opera Company, which is one of the largest opera companies in the entire country. And one of the music teachers at Siena College worked at Glimmerglass, and she brought a handful of them over to do, because we had like this weird random like 1-credit singing course I took, and our final for that course was to sing two pieces. So she brought in these like professional coaches from Glimmerglass Opera Company to sort of judge these things, and they offered me a job at Glimmerglass on the spot. So I was
Nice.
accepted, and the teacher was like, this isn't like, you normally have to go through this insane process, all this different stuff. I've never told anybody this, by the way. This is cool.
Exclusive right here. I love it.
Right here for PR. So anyway, I sang my 2 piece, and they were like, we want you at Glimmerglass. Like, what can we do to get you at Glimmerglass? And I was like, I want to play baseball. And they were like, my teacher was like, what are you doing? This is insane. And I was like, I'm sorry, I want to play baseball. And
That's crazy.
I ultimately, that's I don't regret it, because honestly, singing, I love singing, but I wasn't passionate about it. Right? I just wasn't. So like, and I know how hard it is. I met a lot of big time opera people, and it is hard work. And I know how to work hard, and I had no interest in working that hard and singing at all. But so that's sort of one of my layers, is I turned down
crazy. I never would have thought. Is there anything like is there anything online that anyone would be able to see that you like?
Because again, I'm about to turn 42 in a couple weeks. So when I sang in 2 operas, an opera and then an operetta, which is like a small little duet opera, and that was in 1998. That was 1998, 1999. So there wasn't like, you can't.
Gotcha.
There wasn't live streaming back then.
No, it was yeah. I get you. What about yourself?
Like
do you have anything yourself personally?
I have some photos. I feel like the operetta is on like a VHS tape somewhere. I haven't seen it in a long time. That would have been my junior year of high school when I did both of those things. My junior year of high school, I continued singing through my senior year of high school. Then I just sort of quit, because I was like really into baseball and like going all these showcases for baseball and stuff like that, trying to get into college and hopefully get drafted and all that other stuff. And then my freshman, it wasn't even my freshman. I didn't sing my freshman year of college, because I actually went to George Washington University in DC, and then I transferred to Siena. So my sophomore year of college, I took singing back up, and that's when I got that offer. And that wasn't recorded. I mean, that wasn't recorded. So I don't think there's anything. There's nothing to find. Honestly, I'm not like ashamed or surprised.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, but again, it's true. Around that time, technology, or even then, it wasn't that popular to be documented. Yeah.
And so I mean, if I could find that VHS, because like we moved a ton, and both my parents died a little bit ago, so like I don't know where stuff is. So like, if I ever found that VHS and was able to like digitize it, I'd 100% share it. Like 100%.
Yeah, you definitely should. You definitely should. I'm gonna bother you about that every time I see.
There's a lot of different stuff I've done. I recommend you and some other people go check out this term. It's called eurythmy. eurythmy is like this expressive dance. It's actually a language. So there's certain it's a very graceful dance. Um, and movements represent sounds. So there's a very specific movement that represents a sound. So if you actually understand the language of eurythmy, it's EURUTHMY. I think it's a German thing, an Austrian thing. And I actually did that. I actually did that for like 5 years, and in school. And I was part of like this very select like group of people that we actually toured around the Mid Atlantic and did these eurythmy performances and stuff like that. And I've shared pictures of that before. There's probably VHS tapes out there with me on it, but there's not, it wasn't put up on the internet. And I will tell you, this shit pisses me off about it not being on the internet, because also all my baseball is not up there.
That's true. Okay.
Right? I played Division I college baseball. I played professional baseball, and I don't have hours of footage of me playing. Like I only have like 2 or 3 photos of me playing in the minor.
Bro, that's still in you though. That's
I know.
That's still in you.
I can tell my kids stories, but like they don't like. I want them to see it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, I get you. Because it's me. I remember playing baseball and I was really into it also. And like the only thing that I have from when I played baseball for a while was like, like at the end of the season or whatever, you do your photos and they give you your own little baseball card and things like that. So it's like I have those, but it's like it's true. Things weren't like that back in the day where you would document those things like we do today, to the extent where we have like cameras on our phones. Like back then,
my parents didn't carry a camcorder. They didn't do that. They took
back then it was more photos. Yeah, it was more photos back then. But that's true, man. But still, that's something I'm not gonna lie. I would like, I think you should do a video of that, doing some stuff with baseball and the opera stuff. That would definitely be something crazy, man. I would love to see that. I'm dying to see that opera stuff.
I would love to see it too, man. It seems like a lifetime ago, and I'm such a it's like you said, it's in here, but I'm also such a different person. I'm such a different person from that. True. So like I'm so disconnected. I mean, I can vividly remember the experience of it. Every now and then I'll pull up, like the operetta was called The Telephone. It's a French operetta, but we did it in English. And you can find the telephone on YouTube, like type The Telephone operetta, and you can type it into YouTube, and there's a couple really cool performances. And I've listened to them. And like I'll start listening to it, and all of a sudden it'll like click in and I'll start singing the song. I was like, oh damn, like that was my, I mean, how old was I? I was 16 years old when I did that. You know what I mean? I'm about to be 42. That was a while ago.
So that was the last time you actually did any of that. You don't like end up like breaking out into opera any now and then by yourself or
not really. Again, like I said, I mean, my musical career. So I've always been into music. I was actually a music major in college. So like I've been really into music, and I was a drummer. And that's sort of what I was. So I was a declared drum major at George Washington University, and then at Siena they didn't have that major, so I just was a music major. So like post opera, I was also played like in a rock band. So like I met a couple guys in college, and after college we actually toured around. They were all in the South Jersey, so I actually toured around the Philadelphia area in like bars and stuff like that, playing music. So we actually have a CD out. Well, we did have a CD out. I should upload some of that music, but I didn't sing or anything like that on that. I just drummed.
Still,
yeah. But I mean, like every now and then I'll sit down. I mean, I got a couple drum sets in the back. I have an electric drum set and another drum set back here. I'll play the guitar with my kids and sing with them and stuff like that. But it's never with the intention that it used to be. You know what I mean? So basically, once like professional baseball started, music just sort of like. And then, I like music and I'm into music, but it's just not at that level. You know what I mean?
Baseball was more of your thing.
Oh, baseball was 100% my thing. I can't even begin to. When I do like talks, whenever I've done any sort of public speaking, it's been to like young athletes, because that's my specialty with coaching is young athletes. I'll talk about what it means to like truly want something. Like even to this day, I've never wanted anything like I wanted to play baseball. Like. I was obsessed with baseball. Obsessed.
And what started that, and how early did it start with your obsession with baseball?
I have no idea when I started. My mom died at like it was 2013 or 2014. My mom died, so it was a while ago. You would have remembered. Then my dad kind of fell apart, and then he died a couple years ago. And my dad wouldn't have known, but I mean, I started playing baseball when I was a kid, and I remember both of them saying that like it was so obvious that was my thing. I mean, I played soccer and basketball, not really football because we didn't have it at my school. cross country, track. I mean, I did everything, but it was so blatantly obvious to my parents when I was a little kid that baseball was my thing. So it just sort of made sense that I continued doing it. And I don't remember ever being pushed to play or like anything like that. I wanted it. I just loved baseball. I love the physicality of it. I love the intellectual side of it. I love the one-on-one aspect, even though it was a team sport, right? Like that, it was just I clicked with baseball like crazy. So, but then weirdly, is when I got to the end of my career, it was the easiest split in the world. Like I can vividly remember. I've told the story a couple times, but not a lot. We were in Jackson, Mississippi. I can vividly remember this. We were in Jackson, Mississippi. This is my second year of. It was my third year of pro baseball. My second year in America because I played in Europe for 1 year. And I was on a balcony at a shitty hotel. And I remember it was like morning time. It was like 10 a.m. or something like that. I called my dad. He was like, "How'd the game go last night?" I was like, "Whatever." But I said, "You know what, man? I'm done. I don't want to play anymore." He was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I don't love it. I don't love it anymore. Like this is not, I don't care to be here. This isn't what I want to be doing anymore. And he asked me some really cool, really good, engaging questions about what that meant. But it just, something clicked, something just switched off. And I was like, this isn't what I'm passionate about anymore. I had like, the year before, I sort of found coaching in terms of like fitness and movement and stuff like that. And I was really falling in love with that. So ultimately, near the a little bit over halfway through the season, we had some management changes, and they released me. I got a contract offer for a team in Texas, and I turned it down, and I was done. So I had like a month left in the season. I was like, yeah, well, I'll be done. They said, well, you can play the rest of the season out. We can actually a contract for the whole next year if you want to play. I was like, nah, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. And then I jumped full. Say again?
What was it that really made you not want to do it no more though?
I don't know. It wasn't as fulfilling, really. Yeah, I think I'll be totally transparent. I also think it might have been a little bit of like the writing on the wall. Like I was 22. Yeah, I must have been 22. You're making $1,400 a month. You know what I mean? Like just staying in the dingiest, crummiest hotels and being in that position, seeing what it takes to get to the point where you're making millions of dollars and all this other stuff. The reality was that I wasn't going to do that. It just, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are like, well, if you did this? No. Like it's a combination of ability and politics. And I had both of them working against me. I worked my ass off, but I wasn't naturally at the level. I was naturally really, really good in comparison to the average baseball player, but the average professional baseball player, I was not very good. So, I was a good clubhouse guy. People liked me. I got along with people, you know what I mean? Like, but that's not what I wanted in life. And I was 22 and I was like, do I really want to? I mean, the amount of people I knew who were 31, 32, who didn't even have bank accounts. They just didn't make shit from, like, I don't want that in my life, man. Like, that's just dumb. I could play for another year, sure, but I also have some other things going for me that are really excited about, like fitness, healthy fitness. And I want to pursue that. And I can use baseball as sort of a,
True.
resume builder, or like, hey, I'm going to coach some young high school baseball players. And they're like, well, what'd you do? Well, I played some minor league baseball. They're like, oh shit, like, and that obviously worked really well. So it was a very easy transition for me, in all honesty.
And but was that something that you thought that you would do as far as being a coach, or do you think that that's just something that you took because the opportunity was there?
I think that I thought I was going to be in baseball my whole life. I thought I was going to turn into a baseball coach. Like that's what I thought I was going to transition into because I loved baseball so much. But weirdly, in that moment on the balcony of the hotel in Jackson, Mississippi, I was like, I don't want to do baseball anymore. Like I don't want to coach baseball. I don't want to play baseball. I don't want to do any of that.
Oh,
like,
so you didn't even want anything to do with it at all.
No,
See, that's the crazy thing. Yeah, that's what I'm.
It wasn't like a hate towards baseball because I mean, again, I've coached the majority of the people of my clients that I've coached are baseball players, and I'll talk baseball and I'm into baseball, all kind of stuff. So I get it, and I still love the game, but that level of interaction with the game, I didn't want to be on the field anymore. I guess that's the good way to put it. Like I wanted. And I still love it. Like I went to a game with my kids and like walking up that ramp to into the stands and you see the field. It's just like, oh my God, it's just such a great feeling. Yeah. And I mean, I get the chills just thinking about it. Like, but Yeah, I was just done with the sport. I was done with the sport. And I was like, I don't want to the coaching. Here's what it is, dude. I guess the more I say it out loud, it's a time consuming, boring sport. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't have the patience in my type of coaching. I didn't have the patience to coach the game of baseball. I like coaching the skills of baseball. And that's why I like
Okay,
fitness, because I can coach skills and I can
gotcha.
coach mindset. But the game of baseball, I don't want to sit in the freaking dugout for 3 hours a day, just being like, you know, I just don't want to be doing that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
And
get
that's
you.
what it is. So like, it was a very, very clean split. And then I also knew that I was getting more and more into fitness and realizing I was really good at it. And people followed me. If I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym, people are like, I want to come with you because they liked what I was doing. And I helped them and I supported them in a positive way. So like it clicked with me, like, oh, I could do this for a living. And I did immediately. Right. The second I was done, I went to Washington, D.C. I lived in downtown D.C. I worked at a huge gym. I got a job there. They were like, you need 5 years experience. I was like, I have 6 months of experience. They're like, you're in. You know
Nice,
what I
nice, nice.
mean? And I started coach. I was there for a year. I was doing like 40 hours a week of personal training. And I found this little like independent gym because I did like more intense workouts. That was back in the super, super early days of CrossFit. Like nobody had ever heard of it. But you remember the movie 300? And,
Yes.
and it got popular because those guys got jacked out of their minds.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Jim Jones in Utah, and they're
yeah.
doing crazy workouts. Like I'm going to do that shit, and I was doing crazy because I'm super competitive. I was doing these insane workouts, and the people in my big, huge Globo gym were like, "Get the fuck out of here, man! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I need to find a place to do this." So I found a place down the street, um, in a in an old basketball court that I actually played in high school. In DC, and I called them up. I was like, "Hey, can I come and work out there?" They're like, "Yep. Do you want to work here?" I was like,
Nice.
sure. And I kid you not, man, the next day I took like that was on a Wednesday, and on Thursday I had a client there. And then
Nice.
that's how Courage Performance started. That was my first real job, my first real business that I started.
Before I get into the fitness and health stuff, I want to ask: do you feel that being that you left the baseball stuff behind, do you think that you conquered everything in that aspect when it came to baseball? Like you did everything that you wanted to do and you were over it, or do you think that you were just tired of it? Like, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
mentioned that you didn't want to be out in the field and everything, but do you feel like really like you did everything that you wanted to when it came to baseball to the point that you feel like you don't need to go back to it, or do you think that there are
that's a
things
great
that you
question. No, no. I was a pitcher in pro ball, and I didn't want to be. I was a hitter. I was a hitter. Like it deep inside of me. I mean, that's right. I have a baseball bat right there. Like there's a baseball bat near me at all times. I loved hitting, and I loved hitting still. And I always wanted to hit. And there was a 2 points post my retirement of baseball where I actually like got back into it, thinking I was just going to go try out for some teams as a hitter because I was convinced that I was a better hitter and first baseman than I ever was a pitcher. But I was a very effective pitcher, so everybody wanted me to pitch because everybody needs pitchers. So like there's there is still a piece of me today that feels like I thought about this a lot. I feel like I didn't get the opportunities to do what I thought I was best at on the baseball field.
gotcha?
I don't think that affected me. I don't regret anything. I'm just like annoyed at the system for not every now and then for not letting me or not give me the opportunity that I felt I sort of deserved, if you will, at the time because I was a damn good hitter.
Gotcha.
But I was, like I said, I was a very, very effective pitcher, so everybody wanted that.
And then what was when you started going to the gym and you started getting, because it clearly I think it like you mentioned, you went to that one place and they said you needed 5 years of experience and you said you had a couple months. I think what really shows, and I think a lot of people sometimes disagree with me. I don't think all that stuff of like certification, all that really matters. I think if you really show that you have the passion and dedication and you can show it within your work, like
Yes.
your proof of work that you care about it and you actually are taking it seriously, I think that outweighs any certificate or any years of experience or any of that. And it clearly, I feel like that's clearly what happens with you because you're showing up to all these places and people are just offering you opportunities. You get what I'm saying? And it's all related to what you care about. So you're clearly showing that you have a passion for it and you take it seriously.
Yep.
What would you say was your first real big, like, what was it that really got you to like focus in on it? Like, I'm doing this. This is what I really want to like do. I want to put my energy, all the energy and passion that I had for baseball now is going into this. Like, what really was it that made you focus on that and made you say it's not a big deal to let, like, after all the years of being in baseball and everything that you went through and that you were putting up for, what was it that got you to be like, you know what, I really don't care, this is the next thing?
So I feel like it was an overlap. So I can answer that. I know what got me into fitness. I never lifted weight. We didn't have a gym at my high school. In college, my junior year of college, we got a strength coach who I became really good friends with, and he sort of got me to understand how you can manipulate the human body, and you can correct imbalances. And he was like just explaining how muscles worked and muscle attachments, and how you can develop certain movements, and how certain movements are restricted not because of tension or anything like that, but because of biomechanics of the human body. Like, oh, they're, your hip joints are designed and I just didn't know any of this stuff, and it blew my mind. And I became so into understanding how that worked because I was super into mechanics in baseball. And like, okay, well, Ted Williams says to swing like this, but I was like, but that doesn't feel right to me. And I didn't understand why when I was a 17, 18-year-old kid. Now, all of a sudden, I understood why, because human bodies are built in certain ways. So combining like a technical movement, like swinging a baseball bat, with the biology or physiology of a specific human being is how you improve. So I became obsessed with understanding how I threw, not how you threw or somebody else threw, how I threw. So if maybe somebody throws like this or releases the ball here, maybe I can't do that because of something that's going on in my shoulder. And I need to assess my shoulder movement to understand what is the natural position for my hand to be in or my arm to be in to be able to move as fluidly as it should be to be able to throw. And that clicked with me. That sort of technical side of things clicked with me so well that I became kind of obsessed with that as well. So then I started designing exercises for myself. All right, well, this is how I, Josh Courage, moves. Or so I need to adjust my hand. I need to adjust my legs to make sure and train them so that I can become stronger in those specific movements.
But now my question is, being that you're not doing sports anymore, at
Right,
least doing it professionally,
right.
what was the reason behind it? Like,
So
what's, because of course everyone wants to stay healthy, but in your case, it's like you're trying to reach, like, because I get that. I would want that too. Like, you're literally stopping, instead of you focusing on like what's the perfect way to do things or the right or wrong way, you're really focusing on what's the right or wrong way for me? What's the
right,
best way I can get the maximum potential from myself, from every part of my body? And but my thing is, why?
right. So now I have this combination of this sort of the word of the day of talking with you today is obsession. So I have this obsession of understanding myself, and I realize I'm also always intrigued by other people. What makes other people tick? So now I'm gonna have this combination of, okay, baseball is over. What do I want in my fitness? But also for my personal fitness, but also I really like getting to understand another person. And
Gotcha.
now I have this opportunity to truly help another individual
Gotcha.
understand how they move, right? Sort of get caught up in what I think is super important. I think all of us should be obsessed with how we move and how we function and how we can improve that and how we can become better at it, because that will prolong our lives, make us live our lives in a more positive way, a positive manner if we're healthy and all that kind of stuff.
Of
So for
course.
me, it became at a base level personally, just continuously improve. And that's not linear, right? It's going to be all sorts of, because we grow and we adapt and we get older, something happens, or we try something, because we should try these little extremes every now and then. Or, hey, I'm running 12 stupid marathons and jack up my hip, because that's just a lot for any human being. So how
Exactly.
do I adjust my training to so on and so forth? So like it was this, the base was, I just want to have consistent improvement in my health. And then on top of that base was, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try marathons. I'm going to try triathlons. I'm going to try competitive CrossFit. I'm going to sprinkle some of that on top, and then that's going to dictate that base, that how the base changes, and also as I age too. Um, and then that sprinkled on top is going to change and evolve too, because the more people I meet, I get introduced to different things. I only got into CrossFit because some random dude who from California showed up at my gym, was like, "Dude, have you ever heard of CrossFit?" And I was like, "No." So I just tried it, right? And that's how I evolve as well. So, and then in the process, I can help other people. Other people come in, and that's, I think, how I clicked with other people, is that like I wasn't just like, give me some money, I'll get you in shape. I was like, okay, I want to get to know you. Like, I want to get to know what makes you click. The question you just asked me, I want to know it from you. What do you want out of this? And if you don't even know, let's figure it out together. And let's figure out how you move and how you click and the way you think, right? Because how all those things combined are going to help us get you to be able to thrive as a human being, which is my ultimate goal, right? Like, let's find your true potential and let's have you thrive. And that's going to be completely different for some people.
I
Completely,
agree with you. I
right?
agree.
So throughout this adventure of mine, there have been a lot of times where I've kind of neglected myself because I got so caught up in trying to help all these other people try to figure their stuff out. But yeah, I'm really, really, really passionate about, people finding their potential and thriving. That's what I'm super passionate about. And I sort of, and maybe that's what I liked about baseball. It's so technical. Maybe, you know what I mean? So like maybe deep down underneath, I just loved those little nuances of movement and trying to figure them out if I'm throwing a baseball, I need to just go boop, and that changes everything. Right.
Gotcha.
So deep down, that's just the way my brain works, I guess. So like,
You like the challenge of trying to figure out the mechanic of
I
things
love
and
I
how it
love
works.
challenge, and that's what's happening now. Like, I don't know this shit. I never played video games or had computers or nothing, and now
Gotcha.
I'm into live streaming. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Like, I liked cards, but I was never into trading card games. I didn't touch Pokemon or Magic. None of that stuff. I didn't touch it. I didn't think it was. I was like, I don't know. It just didn't. I didn't care about it. You know. And now I'm into it. You know what I
So
mean?
how did it go from that? How did you? Because it's crazy, man. Listening to your story, you go from doing opera stuff to doing baseball
I haven't
to
even talked about half the
and then
stuff.
health. You get what I'm saying? So then you're doing health and fitness and training and coaching, and then now you're going to live streaming and you're still doing a combination of all the other things, but it's like, so how do you go from that? How do you go from doing
Let me
fitness
tell you,
and then
this
live
this
streaming?
it makes
Especially when you're not in, like, you get what I'm saying? Especially when you're not into any of the stuff. Like, how does that happen?
it's I love thinking about this. And so right, so the abbreviated version of it, I had a gym in Northern California, in the Bay Area of Northern California. A lot of tech people, a lot of young tech people in my gym, tons of them. And Gary came out and talked in San Francisco. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't follow him. I didn't care or anything like that. Anyway, one girl who follows the show, she's awesome. Still, she was, I don't know, she probably was 21 at the time, and her company sent all of them to go see Gary talk. She goes back in the gym, is like, Josh, you got to check out Gary Vee. He's like you. And I was like, what do you mean he's like me? He's like, he is aggressively positive. I was like,
Nice.
oh, that is me. Okay, all right, sweet. Let's go. Let's go. So I followed him on Instagram and whatever. And I was like, this guy, yeah, I get it, but this guy is not me. This guy's like, me and him are very different. He's just like, yeah, I'm not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his message was also a little different at the time. This was in 2000, I don't know, like 16, 17, 2017, 2018, that range. But I followed him. So anyway, I continued following him, stuff like that. And then the pandemic hit, and he was talking about sports cards. And I was like, oh yeah, I have, like, I don't know, 500,000 sports cards from my childhood, all these junk wax crap. So I drove down to my dad's house. I picked up all my cards. I brought them back, started going through all of them. I was like, this is really cool. I started following him a little bit more. And then he started talking about NFTs and all this other stuff. And that's sort of how I got, and I was like, you know what? I believe him. And I started looking into his stuff. Everything he said was right. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And his message shifted a little bit, right? It was about the lifestyle. I feel he was like, getting into the VeeFriends mentality more. And I'm about that. I am about it, like just positivity and patience and empathy and kindness. I'm so into that. And he started doing more. He was heavier and heavier on that. And I was like, I'm digging this. So anyway, I minted the Brave Bison, not this one, the rare one. And I was like, cool, like whatever, I'll just follow this stuff and I'll just do it. I wasn't in it. I was just doing my life. But then my daughter, she must have been 2.5 at the time, started experiencing fear. And I love storytelling, and I started telling her stories about what it meant to be brave. We have the last name Courage. That's a very important thing, and I want to sort of embed that in my kids and living that strength.
I love that.
We have a little mantra, and I just did it yesterday with both of them. Whenever something happens, we use a little mantra. I am brave and strong. I am brave and strong. I am brave and strong. I started telling them a story. I started telling my daughter a story. It expanded to my son afterwards, about a brave bison. And I started just creating this sort of life of this little young bison who needed to be brave to protect his herd, and it just sort of evolved. And I was like, this is fun. And I want to write a kid's book. So I started writing a kid's book. I actually wrote it. And I was like, I want to pitch this together. I want to collaborate. Collaborate. I want to collaborate like crazy. And I wrote it. I actually met through some friends of mine, a guy who did illustrations for comic books like Wonder Woman, crazy shit. And I was like, do you want to do this? He was like, sure, it's $10 bajillion for, a line. I was like, well, fuck that. And but he sent some sketches. So cool. So I actually went to a Candy Digital meetup. This was before the first VCon. And I drove to New York City because of the off chance Gary would be there. And I had my transcript, and I had a cover letter, and I had the sketches. And I was like, I had my pitch ready. I was like, we're going to collaborate. I ended up meeting a lot of really cool people, including the CEO of Candy Digital, and I love Candy Digital. And it was really fun, but Gary didn't show up. So I was like, damn it, I got to go to VCon now. I had no intention to go to VCon, man. And but I was like, I'm going to go there just to give him this folder.
Gotcha.
And this is the story.
This is the first VCon, right?
It's the first VCon. This is the story I've told in my show a bunch, and I love sharing it because it's really good. Serendipity. You create your own luck. And I got a chance to meet him on the field day, like very briefly, just in an autograph line. I was like, hey man, like he was, I've been to the Brave Bison. He was like, oh yeah, the Brave Bison guy. I remember that distinctly because I had been like posting some stuff on Twitter. You know what I mean? Yeah. About the book. So, and I was like, oh shit, you saw that, that's kind of cool. But it was, I was too nervous, and there was all this stuff going on. I just didn't give him the transcript thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, I got to find some time to do this. And there was one moment, maybe I forget what day it was, but to make a long story short, I was waiting in line for something. It was way too crowded, way too hot. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And all of a sudden he came up with this horde of people, and there were just countless people around. I was like, this is insanity. I got to get out of here. So I was like, I could walk back through the crowd, which is, hold on a second. He'd have to walk back through the crowd if he's leaving too, which he might do, but he also could just walk this way.
True.
I'm going to walk this way. So I walked through a kitchen and walked through a storage area and all this other stuff, and popped out the other side of the stadium up on the top in this big open area. And I was just charging my phone. I was like, I feel like Gary's going to come around here. And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, Gary and his 4 people popped out. And nice. He stood there. I took this really, really cool picture of him. He's looking down over the stadium. It's all silhouetted. It's a really cool picture of him. And I talked to him for 5 minutes.
Nice.
And told him the story that I started telling the story of bravery to my kids, and that the character really speaks to me because of this connection to my kids now. And I wrote a book, and I would love to have any opportunity to collaborate or anything like that. I'm super passionate about it. I have an idea for 5 books, how this can build and all this awesome stuff. And I gave it to him, and he was, as Gary is, super attentive and really listened to me. And it was got a lot going on, so just follow up. And I was like, I will. It was amazing. And then the next day, I was able to meet Andy, and I did the same thing with him. And then about a week later, I emailed Gary, and he responded. He was like, hey man, it was really great to meet you. I love your ideas, all this other stuff. Why don't I connect you with Manny Gallen? Manny Gallen is their head of creative.
Yes. I
ended up having 3 Zoom conversations with Manny. He basically was like, we're not really focused on that right now. But do you write songs? I was like, shit, I wrote some songs. So then I wrote my Brave Bison song, and they shared it. And that sort of took off. And that's sort of how I got into VFriends, or some sort of recognition into VFriends. And right around that, actually, that was just after the cards had come out, because I remember I had posted a video of my kids singing it with me with the Brave Bison cards. And the cards came out, and I was like, hey, there's a lot of people in this in the VFriends community who know nothing about cards, how to, people taking out 101s, like, oh shit, check this out. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. So I started making videos of how to protect them. Here's where you can get penny sleeves. Here where you can get top loaders. Here's what a card saver looks like. Oh, you're making trades and sales. Here's how you package them. So if you search way back in my Twitter, when I had 30 followers or something like that, I was posting videos about how to protect your cards and how to ship your cards. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start selling and trading and doing some cool stuff. So I just followed what people do in the sports world. I started making mystery packs, and I sold those like crazy, and they were awesome. And then I was like, I should they do these awesome box breaks, and that's really fun. So I actually started videotaping me and my daughter opening stuff, and I would splice them together and post them. And VFriends retweeted a couple of them. I was like, oh shit. And it's just sort of it's super natural, gradual progression. You talked earlier about watching the progression happen. I
Yeah.
did that with Jeremy, like this unknown Jeremy dude who just started doing like a weekly little like spaces or podcasting about like, hey, here's what's happening in V Friends, and all of a sudden he has thousands of followers, and all of a sudden he's working for V Friends. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
And then I asked the same questions. How do you do that? He was like, you just do it.
True. True. It sounds a lot of people. It's like even this in a live streaming. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I know that I'm passionate enough to put in the time to learn, to buy the equipment, to take the steps to, it doesn't bother me. When
Yeah.
you start, I feel like that's the first thing people need to focus on when they're trying something new, or if they're really trying to figure out if what they're interested in is something that they want to really go full-fledged, like full force on. But I think the thing that you need to focus on is when you start listening and start doing the homework and start, going through, going to the gym or whatever it is that you want to call it, as far as getting your reps in. As soon as it starts bothering you to the point that you start really coming up with excuses, that you really start believing like this isn't for you, or why are you doing this and all, then maybe it's not for you. But when you
Right.
start doing it and you notice that as annoying as it is and repetitive as it is, and no matter how many times you mess up, you go and you look and then you realize you spent 4, 5, 6, 8 hours on it, and it's only felt like a couple minutes, but it doesn't bother you and you're still willing to get back up and go. That's something that you know for a fact that you truly have a passion for. You care about it. You have it. You know what I mean? And it's like you're saying, like you made your own luck, in the sense of you went out your way to go and drive out there to
Yeah.
go see Gary, to go to VCon, even though you had no intentions. And it was a thing that it wasn't even planned. You ended up just seeing him. You get what I'm saying? But the thing that's most important out of all the things that you've mentioned is the consistency.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you can't fake that. You can even see it. You can see the consistency. You can see the growth. And it's not only just by looking at your background and seeing how your collection has grown. You can just see that from the way you present yourself, the way from your live streams and how you talk to people, and the things that you do. You show that you actually care, that you are backing up your words with your actions, and that you're actually putting in the time to show that you value everyone else's time and their attention, by actually
Yeah.
making sure you put effort into what you're doing, which is what I wanted to ask you now next, is that, like, everything started going and now you got into live streaming and you met Gary. What was it that really got you to be like, the Courage Show? Like, what was it that really showed you, like, all right, this is the thing, this is something, I have something here, this isn't just me streaming and me just like putting some time into something I find interested? When did you realize that it was something more than that, and that you were really starting to build your own following, your own version of V Friends, basically your Courage following?
I think that was like post VCon 2. Like I had already done like, I look back at this, I had already done like 15 shows, but it was just like a core group of people. I don't know, it was like 12 people or something like that. That was just sort of consistent. Tom had done a few too, and so we had kind of done that sort of together almost. And then Card Night happened at VCon, and I actually sort of had in like a live show. I sold out spots as I had done on my show before VCon at VCon. So all the people were physically there, and then that combined with the energy that was actually happening simultaneously, I was like, I think this can actually be something. Like I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not going to like sacrifice any of my time or day into this sort of stuff. But now I'm looking around being like, and I took a video and I even said it. And I think V Friends used that video and on one of their posts. And I was like, this is something. There's something really, really here. Like I believe in this. And I was like, I think that there's a space for someone like me to come on here and sort of share or have an addition, because there was no Fanatics Live, there was nothing like that. Like Adam Rips had 30 followers on Twitter at that point. You know what I mean? Like nobody, you know what I mean? Most people didn't know who he was. So I was like, there's a space for this. So at that point, I think I saw an opportunity within V Friends to sort of start to give the community who was having so much fun at Card Night an opportunity to keep that energy going. And it's something me and Tom talked about a lot, as like, we can do this sort of together almost. And I think that's where it sort of became something that was intentional. I'm going to start doing shows. And I asked if Andy Kranak would come on the show, and if Adam Rips would come on the show, and Jeremy would come on the show, and other people who are big into VFriends at the time. Why don't you just come on the show, almost like you're doing right now? Let's just do this, but also have it based around cards, and then talk about collectibles and talk about VFriends, and that's how it started. So I think it was the idea was sparked at VCon. And then the fact that it progressed in the way it did was then, the motivation was to continue going, and then to continue adapting and changing, and, like turning it into some other stuff. And my goal has always been, and I'll openly say this, that I love the cards, but I want to utilize this platform to spread a message. Like Gary's given me the opportunity to actually have a platform like this, and I'm able to grow this platform, and I want this platform to be to spread the message of healthy lifestyle. So the Courage Show is really a base for me to spread the message of healthy lifestyle. And maybe I don't talk about it one day, you know what I mean? Maybe we're just doing a box break, but for anybody who watches my show, a lot of the times it bleeds into some sort of rant about like healthy living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
But
again, it's why I believe in Gary so much, is I think that, like, I believe in VFriends so much, because part of healthy living is being genuinely kind, and being empathetic, and being patient, and being sympathetic, and all these wonderful traits. And I think they need to be combined. You need to have self-awareness. You need to have consistency. So all these, you need to be brave. Like, all of these things are so important to a healthy lifestyle. So I'm just sort of like taking Courage Performance, living with courage, my business, VFriends, and combining it. And that's what the Courage Show is.
I got you. I love that, man. I really, not even just because we're in the VFriends community and a fan of Gary and all that, but just in general, of being a supporter of making positivity louder, spreading that, always being willing to give that other person an opportunity, and just willing to give them the time of day, and I feel like a lot of people don't do that with one another nowadays, and they don't really just, whether it's supporting one another or giving them the time to listen to them and learn from their experiences. Sometimes people tend to believe that they know everything and they know better than someone else, or that their life is the worst thing in the world. And it's not until you really take the time to talk to other people that you realize you're wrong on all those things. You always think you got it bad until you realize there's someone else who has it worse. You always think you know everything until that day that you make a good mistake that really changes everything that you have no control over. Like, there's a lot of different things that come into play with all that. But when it comes with people like you, I love it, because you show that no matter what comes your way, like, you pivot, you adapt, you keep going. And the main thing that pushes that is that positivity, that hope, that, like, you see that in other people. Sometimes we forget that there are other people in this world that are going through stuff also, and despite what they go through, all of us, whether we're have a fake smile on or whatever it is, we have our own ways of dealing with it, of coping with it, of adapting to it, and of pushing forward. But what I love about it is that what you do, a lot of people in the community, we actually show and share with people that there's a way to do it without having to be so miserable, without having it to be all, clouds, and it's like Gary says, clouds and dirt, and rain, and you can still make it through that stuff with a smile on your face and not have to fake it. There's plenty of other people willing to support you and back you and show love and support. And you mentioned the VFriends community and everything like that. What about VFriends really, besides for Gary and the message, like, what else about it makes you, like, look at the back, like, none of that is free that you got back there. That's not stuff that was just gifted to you. On top of that banner that you have VFriend stuff on there. You're not an owner, you're not a CEO. What makes you so passionate about it to the point that you're putting so much dedication to it and effort?
Dude, I hope I don't get burned, but I'll tell you what, because I think the potential, everything I do, my business, like, it's so genuinely based on the same thing I feel VFriends is all about. Right? Like, I mean, honestly, my biggest concern for being this attached to VFriends is that it turns into something that I don't believe in. I've talked about this a lot. When they announced that partnership with, the Coco Melon Blippy crap, I expressed a lot of concern. because I personally don't like Cocomelon and I don't like Blippi. You know, I don't think those are healthy, positive things for our children to grow up around. And I don't want V Friends to be that. I don't want V Friends to be viral. You know,
Gotcha.
like think of that term. That term is literally connected to something that's horrendously negative.
Yeah, yeah. I get where you're coming
You
from.
know what I
I
mean?
get where you're coming from.
I want V Friends to be what it. I want V Friends to generate a deep connection to what it means to be kind. Not just, hey, being kind means you're nice to people. No, 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 no. What does it mean deeply to be kind to another person? It's to understand and have empathy for their struggles and their issues, and to choose to treat them in an appropriate in a manner that helps to pick them up and supports them in a positive way. That's what it means to be kind, right? And there's so much depth to that. There's so much depth to all these soft traits that I think that V Friends has the potential to do that, and that's what I do. Like I don't have a kid on when I'm coaching. I don't have this 18-year-old kid. I'm just like, yeah, do 10 more reps. Yeah, do 5 more. No, man. Every session we talk. We get deep. They're going through some struggle. Teenagers, man, you know what? You remember what it was like to be a teenage dude. It
Hell yeah.
sucked.
Hell
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Identity. Here's the way I always describe it. Oh, teenage dudes are like, yeah, whatever. But out inside, they're like, what is going on in life? I don't understand anything. Right?
Yes.
Like, so we talk and we connect to that, and we talk about like the peer pressures and the pressure of this and all this. We try to get deep, and my goal is to help them just have a better life. And I think V Friends has the capability of doing that, has the potential to do that. So to me, that's what the connection is. It has nothing to do with any of this stuff. This would never exist if I wasn't doing the show. I'd have a couple Brave Bison cars in my corner. I'd be out there, you know, coaching and hanging with my kids exclusively. But like the concept of V Friends is what I think is important. And it has less to do with Gary. In fact, I think one of the issues I feel like could bring that down, the reach of V Friends, is Gary, right? You know, like he rubs so many people the wrong way that I think he himself could potentially hinder the growth of V Friends. And he knows that V Friends is greater than Gary V. He said that at last VCon. You know, the goal is that V Friends become something that is not Gary V. If you ever order something, this little sticker pack right here,
I need one of those. I'm slacking.
yeah, it's cool. I gotta send you one. I only have one, but that's totally cool. But it says nothing about Gary V on here. Great. V Friends is a collectible universe of over 250 characters that all compete and interact with each other as they try to find balance in their ever-changing world. Right? Fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and then down here, wishing you all the happiness in the world and welcome to the V Friends community. Right? Like, that gives me chills. That's what this is about. And that's what I represent with Living with Courage, my company, and what I try to represent with my children, what I represent when I interact with people. So I believe in V Friends, and we're still so early. So I don't want to, you know, I'm embedded into something that I just think has the potential to lock in with something that I feel like I'm a rare person out there doing what I do. Because right, you go out in the world and there's fake positivity and a shitload of negativity.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And I'm not that. I'm a shitload of positivity and fake negativity, like my conflict with Tom and stuff like that. That's all fake shit. I hate it. You know what I mean? It's fun, but that's not who I am, right? Like, so I think V Friends is that, and companies don't do that. You know, Disney didn't promote positivity. Disney promoted a distraction and entertainment. So much kid stuff out there right now is a distraction and entertainment. It's not out there doing what Mr. Rogers did, which is to help children understand what it means to be a human. Right? Like,
I agree with you.
You hear these things are attached to emotions, and here's how you can do it. So that's what I want. Like, now I feel like I have a platform to sort of help influence that deeper, more nuanced side of V Friends. If V Friends just becomes a viral entity, maybe I can help supply some of that more nuanced aspect of what it actually means to be kind.
I get you.
The
next thing, what I wanted to ask you, what if V Friends didn't exist? Do you think, clearly everything happens for a reason, and a lot of it, a lot of the combination of things that you experience is what led you to be live streaming and doing what you're doing. But I feel like regardless of what the message that you're trying to focus on and the reason behind you doing what you're doing, I don't think that would change.
Oh
So
no, God, no.
if
I
it
was doing.
was,
Yeah.
what would you think if it wasn't for if things didn't lead you to Gary and all that? What do you think would have been the next step if it wasn't for streaming? Do you think you would have
I
went
would have just
down
continued to
regardless?
expand on my business, living with courage. Like I was in the process. I did when I was in California. I started doing a lot of speaker events at high schools. Um, before V Friends hit, I was I was doing the same thing out here. I was sort of connecting with some schools and trying to set up some times where I could talk to the whole entire athletic department and the coaches and the parents and stuff like that. Just doing the exact same thing, spreading this exact thing. So this basically was a stepping stone or a catapult into a
Gotcha.
greater pool of people and into a more diverse group of people, right? Because I was focused on high school athletes and their immediate surrounding community. Now I have people who never even thought about health and fitness that I can speak to and I can talk to, which is great. Which is the more I can spread what I believe to be a good positive thing, the greater it is in my mind. So yeah, if you friends wasn't here, I'd be doing the exact same thing, just not like this, not with this background.
I get you. And a big part of everything that you're doing, I always like in all your content and everything that you're sharing, and a big reason why I focus on your stuff, and I think what makes me gravitate to a lot of the people in the community and the content that they create is that you're a parent.
Yeah,
And one thing that I wanted to ask, I also asked Tom, I also asked Ben, because I think this is really important. Because again, it's like you mentioned before, and like a lot of us always talk about, a lot of people make it seem like things are impossible, and yet they don't have kids. They're not a parent. They don't have like those responsibilities, but yet they have a million excuses, and yet people like us still manage to find a way where we make the time for it and we try to make it work. And we, what are something that, like, as a father and a husband, how do you balance your professional life with your professional pursuit, like your personal life with your
yeah.
professional pursuits and your passions?
Um, I've had fleeting moments where this isn't the case, but I don't view it. I don't even really view it as a balance. I view it as like a hierarchy. Like I will cancel a show in the middle of a show if my kid needs me. You know what I mean? Like, or if my wife needs me. You know what I mean? Like that, there's just a hierarchy of things. Like I'm not balancing my show and my family. My family is my everything I do is for my family. And sometimes people say that, well, everything I do is for my family. I will work my ass off and not pay attention to my family for my family. And like, well, that's not for your family. That's not great. Um, you know,
True.
my kids deserve my attention. Gary's big thing, attention, right? And my kids are they deserve if I want my kids to grow up to be, you know, people who don't cause problems in this world and people who give, are a good addition to this world in a positive manner, in a great way, and they can live to their true potential and they can thrive, then they deserve my attention. They get my attention, my full blown attention. So that is my number one priority. The only arguable thing about that not being my priority is that to give them my attention, I need to be healthy. I need to take care of myself. If I'm not healthy, if I'm underslept and poorly fed and more irritable, and that it causes all of these problems, and then I'm not giving them the attention that they should have, right? So really, maybe my argument would be that I need to take care of myself health wise. Then I can take care of my family the most, and then everything else comes into play because all this stuff is the base. This show, I want to be something that you know spreads that word, but then also now that it's a business, can be something that can help support the family as well, along with my training stuff as well. So like, yeah, I think I've found a balance, balancing all that stuff out by not calling it balancing. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Right? Like I'm not balancing my show and my training with my family. My family is the priority.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
Yeah.
I hear you.
The
I
same
get
thing,
that.
what I struggle with is balancing the show with my personal training stuff. Right.
That
So
okay,
like
that makes sense.
my personal training is my revenue stream. I like make money off of that. Right. Like I don't have a brick and mortar place anymore. So it's just that's how I provide for my family. This is not there yet. That's my goal. Um,
But
So
let's say it came. Let's say you had that same situation happen where it was earlier, where you had an opportunity or you had to choose, where you know how basically you had an opportunity where people like, how could you give up this opportunity of opera or singing and you know taking it professionally and doing all this, and then instead you went for baseball. Like if you had some similar situation come up now between what you're doing as your actual professional job, you know, training, coaching, and doing things with health and streaming and making content and stuff of that nature, what do you think you would lean more towards and why?
the former, the health, the training. One, it's established. Two, crazily passionate about it,
Gotcha.
obsessed, if you will. Right? Like like I said, I'm more passionate about that than I'm about this. This is fun. This was a hobby turned into a job, and I'm utilizing that hobby job to speak what I'm passionate about. So it will always go back to health and fitness because that's what I
It's the
love. That's
source.
what I
Yes,
love. Yep,
I
that is
love it.
absolutely yep. So if someone was like, if this becomes something, right, there's been these moments where I sit down and talk to my wife, being like, man, this is taking away like the producing of content and the struggle because we're not enormously wealthy. Like to get the stuff that I have, I need to work my ass off
Yeah,
to liquidate things that I have and to use that money to buy boxes. Like I said, I literally have zero inventory for the show, so I have to be very creative and come up with some stuff, and that takes time and energy, So like, there have definitely been some moments where I'm like, I don't know if I can sustain this, and then also give my family my kids the attention they deserve, my wife the attention she deserves, and my actual business the attention it deserves, and myself, my health. Right. So like there have been some moments here and there, but like I said, I've sort of I'm riding this massive wave that I feel like I'm mostly in control of. And I've been going this direction, and all of a sudden something changes. I'm like, oh shit, like boxes go from 150 to 250. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta pivot. And
exactly.
I've been able to very quickly pivot and feel comfortable moving in a direction that allows me to sustain doing this. And right now, my motivation is, well, this is the platform for health. Like I said, I'm working on something right now. Like there's going to be, I'm going to do a big. I just posted it earlier, about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I saw. I was gonna ask you about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Get strong for VCon. So like that's my VFit movement. At VCon last year, Gary, I said, hey Gary, where's fitness? Like, how come there's not a fit Falcon? How come there's not a strong Saint Bernard, a character I'm trying to pitch to him? Like if you're a morbidly obese diabetic, like it's going to be really hard to truly deeply understand a lot of these traits because you are struggling so much inside with your health.
True.
So if you can work on that health side of things, it's going to be a lot easier to understand what it means to be sympathetic, empathetic, kind, patient, all that other stuff. And he was like, you go do it. And I was like, well, that's a cop out, but okay, I'll go do it. So I'm doing what I'm passionate about, which is promoting health and fitness within the V-Friends community. So yeah, I mean, I think they're sort of intertwined at this point, right? So like the Courage Show has become just an expansion of Living with Courage, which is my, actual business. So yeah, at this point.
Gotcha. And what's I wanted to ask you, you touched on it for your motivation. What keeps you motivated in your work, especially during challenging times?
Yeah. That's a good question. It's just discipline. It's discipline because challenge is needed, right? I'm big into fitness. Sorry, my wife just
No, do
hold
what
on.
you gotta do. Yeah, take a
Right.
break. Go ahead. Do what you gotta do. Real quick, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. For all the 90 people watching right now on
Oh,
X, the 2 or 3 people that are on YouTube right now. Brett, what's going on? How you doing? Tommy, how you doing? Nath, thank you for tuning in. I know it was like 2:30 a.m. over there in Australia. Thank you for tuning in
damn.
to show some love. I really appreciate it. And for clocking out podcast on Twitch for our 5 viewers on there as well. Thank you guys so much. We are here talking to Josh from the Courage Show. So if you're tuning in, make sure that you give him a follow, show him some love. We're touching on right now what keeps him motivated, especially during his challenging times with all that he's doing right now with the live streaming, with being a father, content creating, also, being a coach and a health and fitness person, a person that's into health and wellness and just trying to make positivity louder. What keeps you motivated during your challenging times, Josh, and keeps
I,
you going?
I love this question because I feel like 5, 6, 7 years ago I would have bullshit my answer and said my kids. But this, if this does anything, it takes away from my kids. Right? If I'm sitting on there on Twitter trying to post some motivational video, and shooting it, adding captions to it, making sure it's on TikTok, that's 10 minutes. Like I post something almost every single day, and I'm out with my son. That's
Yeah.
10 minutes away from my son. Granted, I'm there for 2 hours, so it's not like he's getting my attention, but
I
taking away.
understand. I struggle with that as well, man.
Right. So, but that's what happens. I post it up, I put it away, I'll pick it up like 5 minutes later just to respond to like 2 or 3 comments, and then the phone's gone. It's gone. Um, um, so I'm not doing this for my kids. I'm doing this and when it's challenging, it's discipline. And that's what it is with health and fitness, right? It's challenge, like your road to becoming healthy and maintaining health is not going to be easy. It's going to be filled with insane challenges and depression and whys and I can't do this anymore and this is impossible and I'm not making progress and blah 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 blah. But you keep doing it because you know the consistency is ultimately what's going to get you towards your goals, and that goal is going to continue to grow and continue to expand for the rest of your life. To me, that's what business is. That's what relationships are. That's what health is. It's all a journey. It's all a journey, right? And I have very specific goals. I have this big CNC tournament I'm going to host at the national, right? I have Get Strong for VCon, this movement that I want to do. I have specific goals within the Courage Show that I want to attain, and they're going to keep growing and keep expanding as I build. Certain types of things I want to do. Same thing with my business, same thing with everything. It's just discipline. So when there's a challenging time, I just keep doing what I'm doing. Right? I assess, I talk to somebody I trust, I talk to my wife, whatever it might be. I go out for a run or a walk because that helps me immensely. I literally came up with Get Strong for VCon in the shower yesterday. Like I was like, what should I do next? I don't know what I need to do. I know I want to do something. I was like literally saying this out loud in the shower. So just nobody's listening, right? So like I'm like kind of singing this shit to myself. Like I gotta do something else. I gotta make something else. I gotta create something else. What's it gonna be? I don't know. Like I know I want to do V-Fit. How am I gonna do V-Fit? How am I gonna do it? I don't know. How do I do it? Oh, I know. Let's do some cool movement that gets all the way to VCon. Be strong for VCon. Be strong. Oh shit. Be strong for VCon. Let's do it. Get strong for VCon. Get strong for VCon. And like, how's it gonna look? Like last year, Dom started, me, a bunch of us, we were doing 100 push-ups building up to VCon. I got a lot of people, even Gary did a bunch of push-ups one day. This is gonna be different. It's gonna be a daily program designed to get you strong for VCon. Get yourself into shape and take health seriously. And it's just freaking discipline, man. That's what it all is about. It's not motivation. People have been saying this more and more thanks to like people like David Goggins. It's not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Right? You can be motivated to do something, to like go do some push-ups right now. And what was that motivation? Me getting all fired up and talking about some cool shit? But I'm not there every single 5 minutes. And you're constantly, no. It's fucking discipline. This is what I do. Right? I'm going to do this show. And when it's up, it's up. And when it's down, it doesn't matter. You just keep doing it. Right? So like, it's just discipline, man. It's just discipline. Like,
I love that. That's the thing. Also, I feel like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to find the same way. It's hard to find motivation. It's hard to find that thing to focus on discipline.
Yeah, I agree. But
And
isn't that the point? That's
true.
That's the whole point. If you don't have a challenge, if it's not hard, then it doesn't need discipline.
True.
I mean, do you need discipline to I don't know. What's something that's super, super easy for you to do every single day? The example in the fitness world is brushing your teeth, but some people don't do that every day. But like, let's just use that as an example. Like, do you need to be disciplined to do that? You just do it.
True. Yeah, no, right? You're right.
It's not discipline anymore. It's habit. So until it becomes habit, you need discipline.
True.
And it's going to be hard as shit to form that. It's hard. It's hard as shit. That's the point.
You're 100% right, man. With everything that you've been, like, all the different opportunities that you've been given, all the different hats that you've worn, as far as the experience that you have, whether it's in in sports, in collecting and live streaming and communicating with people and talking to people such as Gary Vee, and reaching out with them and working with them, even if it didn't lead to anything as far as you having your own book and stuff, you still had the experience of going through what that process was like and presenting yourself. And people don't even take it that far. People don't even come up with a storyline or anything packaged up to go out their way to go and present it to anybody. What are things, or can you share any like pivotal moments or lessons that you've learned in your journey and your experience through all of those things that you've did, that you feel like impacted the path that you're on right now, or your perspective of how you look at things?
Yeah, curiosity. I guess Curious Crane should be my character too. Curiosity, man. I so badly want to know what might happen if I do something. It's why I take massive. I'm a huge risk taker. Huge risk taker. Um, Usually when it comes to like physicality, like I'm going to climb that because I want to know what's going to happen. I want to test those limits. I want to understand what I'm capable of doing and what I'm incapable of doing. And then if I'm incapable of doing it, what do I need to do to become capable of doing it? And then I want other people to know what that feels like, because it is awesome. It's awesome to fail and it's awesome to succeed. It's more awesome to succeed after you failed.
But do you
Right?
think that that's like a chase of like perfection or of happiness, or?
I thought a while ago that it was a chase for perfection. Like I wanted to be the best at everything I did. And then similar, this is why I connected Gary. Then I realized like that has nothing to do with it. I really like the process of learning. Just that process of figuring out if I can do it. Now I'm really, really, really into, especially with kids, of helping other people experience that same process. Like, I'm realizing more and more. Like, I've experienced, the win so many times. I've experienced the podium many times. That's I don't. Those aren't the vivid memories in my brain. Right, the vivid memories in my brain are the getting back up after failing something. The vivid memories in my brain are aspects of the training, access of the climb, aspects of that journey, and I love that. It's so much fun, and you learn so much about you, about different things in the world, depending on what you're doing, about other people when you're going through that process. So, like, to me, that's what it is. It's just a deep curiosity in what I'm capable of doing. I remember when I first started getting into like crazy extreme fitness stuff and challenges, like I'm gonna run a 50 miler, which I did. It was purely to see if I could. It had nothing to do with actually crossing a finish line and getting a medal and that. Nothing. I just wanted to see if I could survive it without killing myself.
You're crazy, bro. I don't I don't see, unless I'm getting paid for something like that. I can't. I don't understand what ghosts. That's what I want to know. That's why I want to have these conversations. There's people like
Yeah,
you that they're like. I understand. Like, don't get me wrong. I like going to the gym and I like how it feels and I like how it look. But there's always a certain point where it's like I take a break for a while, or I stop watching
for
what I
sure.
eat, and I. But then there's other people. It's like it's nonstop. It's 24/7 every day, or they're running and they'll wake up early to go run 3 or 4 or 12 miles, and then they'll. And in my head, I'm like, I understand training for a marathon. I understand staying in shape. But when you don't have any, when you look good and you're healthy and you literally have no reason to be running fucking 12 miles, like, all right, yo, just run three. Why? No, I'm going to do 12. Okay, you want to test your limits, like, okay, just go on a roller coaster. No, I want to go mountain climbing without any
Dude,
freaking, you get, it's like things like that I'm like, but
it's
why?
a
Like,
it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum because there's people out there. If you go out and run 2 miles, who'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing running 2 miles? I can't even
exactly.
walk down the street." It's a spectrum. It doesn't matter. So you already understand. You want to find consistency doing your podcast and doing your show. Some people are like, "I can't even freaking find consistency making a single post on Instagram." You know what I mean? Like, it's all a spectrum. So like, you take your David Goggins, who's running 50 miles every single freaking day.
Yeah.
That's a one end of the spectrum. And you have your person who literally sits on their ass watching TV all day. That's the other end of the spectrum, right? And everywhere in between, it's the same damn thing. It's the exact same damn thing in scale. That's all it is,
But do you
right? So
think
like,
that? Do you think that any of that matters or should matter to anyone in the sense that you're saying it's scaled? Do you think anyone should look at it, one, either as competition, or two, comparison, in a sense of how much they need to do or how much they're not doing?
I I mean, yeah. I mean, I do think that most people in the world are doing way less than they should want or yeah, should or want to. I think everybody could be doing much more. Not, not extreme crazy necessarily, but that's my point, is that like in one aspect everybody's doing something that's crazy to somebody else. You know what I
True.
mean? Like Gary doing an 11-hour stream is crazy to me, but he just sat there doing what he loves doing. That wasn't He was fine. He loved that. That's like what he loves doing. You know
Yeah,
what I
true,
mean? Like,
true.
so, and me, like, or I'm gonna go out for 2 days in the woods and just walk around and sleep under a tree. People are like, that's insane. But no, it's not. That's relaxing to me. I love that. Right. So, like, again, I think and I think that's the perspective I try to say. Like, someone's like, "Oh, dude, you're crazy. You did this physically," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you're crazy. You did this with your computer or whatever it might be." We all do something that is crazy to somebody else because it's more that challenge and that pain and that struggle is recognizable to us.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So like, and what I try to do with people is help them see that hey, you spent 11 hours on a stream. That's the same conceptually. It's the same thing as going out for a 4-hour run. Conceptually, physically
Yeah,
not obviously, but
you're right.
conceptually.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So you understand what it means to put yourself through that sort of struggle. You do understand, right? But don't necessarily like you don't need to go out and run a marathon because that doesn't mean anything to you. And just because it means something to me doesn't mean you should do it. What you should get out of it is the importance of putting yourself through some extreme challenges in any way. It might be a very specific diet. It might be pushing for doing 4 podcasts a day for a while. It might mean posting 5 things on TikTok every single day. It might mean going for a 5-mile run every single day. It might mean meditation twice a day for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. If it's daunting to you, but you really want it, what matters is you putting yourself through that challenge and understanding that, oh, I'm getting better now because I'm forcing myself to adapt to something that's really challenging for me. Right. So for me, I like a lot of shit. And I get that people don't. And there's a lot of stuff I don't like. And there's a lot of stuff I could care less about. I'm not going to do an 11-hour stream. Not because like, oh, Josh, you're not up for the challenge. No, because I won't get anything out of it. And I think it's dumb. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
I hear you.
So like, I think that's where I try to push all this stuff is that like the only thing that matters to me is embracing challenge in any way. And if you want to try to run a marathon, if that's like something that clicks in your head is like, man, I wouldn't mind doing that, then fucking go do it, man. People ask me all the time, should I go run a 10 miler? I was like, do you like running? They're like, well, kinda. And that would be kind of a cool challenge. I've never done that. I'm like, then go do it. Yes, go do it. But if you're like, fuck that, I hate running. I never want to do that in my life. And I'm like, then don't do it. Go find something else that's challenging that you want to be challenged on.
True.
That's
You're
the dude, PR. That's the beauty of our lives is we get to choose our suffering,
100%.
right?
100%. You're right. Yep.
Right? Like even the suffering we feel like we're not choosing, we get to. We live the most freaking amazing, like just stupid lives. That's just everything is just handed to us. So we get to choose what we suffer on. But my opinion, we gotta suffer. We need to. And I think that's just the point. So I'm just so curious about that process. So I have 50 different things that I choose to suffer with.
No,
You know?
I understand what you mean. I get what you mean, and it's true. We have to. It's like they say, you choose your battles, and
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
true. You choose your suffering. Yep.
Yep. But yeah,
Um.
so yeah, that's it.
Um. So we've been on for a while now. Before we get out of here, I have three things left that I wanted to ask you that I feel are something that people could really benefit from. The first thing is when it comes to like community. We mentioned V friends, we mentioned you creating your own following and everything like that. A lot of what you do is like you said, it's not even really motivation. It's just you knowing that you have to do something and you staying dedicated to it, and you just focusing in on it and making it a consistent effort of doing what you have to do. Do you think that the V Friends community, or the community of the following that you're building, is the fuel to that? And like, do you think other people could do it without it? Like, do you think you'd still be doing everything like without, like, it's like, regardless if it's not your community, but we're all part of V Friends, and I feel like the V Friends community always turns into like a family in some way to some
Yeah.
people. Do you
Good
think
point.
that, yeah, like, because of that, do you feel like it makes things harder or easier, whether you have some type of like structure or community or backing or following or family, or you get what I'm saying? Like, that's like a
I do.
support system. Like,
It does make it way easier because you're getting that direct feedback. If I pop on a stream and there's nobody on it, it's really hard for me to. It'd be really hard to like talk about cards. You know what I mean? Because who
yeah,
am I talking to? I will tell you this though, and this is something that Gary touches on too. And again, yet another layered reason as to why I like him is if I hopped on stream and there was one person on there, I would rant like crazy about health and fitness. I don't care. I love it. So to me, if I didn't have the health and fitness side of stuff, if it was 100% the cards, and I didn't have an audience that was growing, I would have stopped a long time ago. I would have stopped a long time ago because like I said, it's a hobby. It's sort of fun. I would have just done it with my buddies. It wouldn't have been like a big public live stream, that sort of thing. So yeah,
gotcha.
having an audience and having that direct feedback is humongously helpful for sure. It makes it easier to continue going. And again, like I said, my end motivation or end goal really with all this stuff is to utilize this platform to spread more health and fitness, better mindset towards health and fitness. So like, but yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah, I mean, it's having an audience is helpful. Not having an audience, if you're not passionate about what you're talking about, it's not going to last. And I'm aware that like I like the cards, but I'm not passionate about the cards, right? I'm passionate about health and fitness. So, and I'm also passionate about sort of, growing community and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I mean, that's what I did with my gym. I would have events and all sorts of stuff with the surrounding areas to just have people around with health and fitness, that sort of thing. So, and other people are into that with like trade nights and card nights and all that kind of stuff. And that's just,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
And what advice would you give someone looking to start their own live stream, or someone looking to start their own fitness program, or
Sure.
start their own book, or like, what advice would you give anyone trying to start their own anything?
So everybody's heard this before, but I'll use it in the context of a pre-workout. I can't tell you how many times people what's the best pre-workout? And my answer is tongue in cheek. The best pre-workout is to start your damn workout. Because once you start moving, the ball starts rolling, right? Like it's inertia. It's the Newton's law, right? Like an object in motion stays in motion. And if you're not moving, you're not gonna move.
True.
So the idea is that a pre-workout is you're looking for the right motivation to do something. Fuck that. Just start doing it. And once you start doing it, things will open up. Ideas will start to flow because you're physically in the middle of doing it. Right? So if you've never done a live stream, just click live and just start. Well, I don't have the right microphone. Are you serious? Dude, I started live streaming on my iPad. And I was like, wait, this is dumb. So then I started using my 2015 computer. It became this joke that my connection was so bad. And I still don't have, I mean, you have a badass boom mic, and I don't have any of that shit. And I'm like a live streamer, and I don't have any of that shit. It doesn't matter.
No,
It
you're
doesn't matter. Like you just
100%.
you just start. Just start.
And
So same thing with health and fitness. Well, I don't have the right program. It doesn't matter. Just go for a walk. Do a push-up. Like, get rid of all these rules of what it's supposed to be. Just start doing some shit.
I love that.
And
Yeah,
then those answers will start to come. Those holes will fill. They will.
I agree with you. I think that that's what a lot of people need to do, is just start forgetting about the rules and start
Yep.
just doing stuff, and
Yeah.
stop focusing on those little things.
That's
Um,
the hard part about social media and all that kind of stuff. Is like I still struggle with that. I'm sitting here like seeing everybody and all their cool equipment and their setups. And I'm like, I need this, I need that. And I'm like walking around Best Buy being like, I need a bio. It's like, wait, no, I don't. I don't need that.
it's like a form of FOMO. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
The same thing with health and fitness too. The exact same thing with health and fitness. People are like, well, that person's shredded, and look at they're doing this program, and they're just go for a walk. Just go for a walk. You'll be fine.
You're right. You gotta start somewhere. So before we get out of here, I really want to thank you for taking the time, Josh. I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you always staying in touch and reaching out and getting back to me as soon as you can. You're always busy. You're a dad. You're always on the go. You're making a lot of moves. I'm really excited. I've been watching you as well as Tom and Ben and Whiskey and all the other guys, man, and everyone in the community slowly start building up. And I've been loving watching the growth. So I really want to thank you for taking the time and speaking with me and sharing everything. But before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, what are your future plans or any projects, any exciting developments you got in expanding the Courage Show? Just like you said, you mentioned you're working on something for VCon and Get
Yep.
Fit for VCon. Anything else that you have in the works that you want to share with us to let us know so we can keep an eye out?
Yeah. I have, well, this unofficial, um, I am literally having an open dialogue with Gary Vee. It is a currently unofficial though, compete and collect tournament at the national. It's going to be a big deal. I have a confirmed space for it, and I'm going to announce the space very soon once a few things are ironed out. But I was really struggling with the idea of a space, and some doors open because I was just out there reaching out to people, and there was an awesome space. My goal is to have like 50 something people playing, and it's going to be in front of there's going to be a lot of people, a
A
lot
lot.
of people.
Are you live streaming it?
That's the alpha. Nope, not live stream. Like physically,
Ah,
there'll be a lot of people. I mean, it's going to live stream, yes, but if you're at the national, it's going to be probably one of the best. It's going to be up there with what like VFriends has done in terms of exposure for VFriends.
I believe it. I
Because all
believe
the
it.
people are going to be able to see it. So I'm prepping for that. I'm definitely open for sponsorship. I'm looking for two major sponsors, and I'm in talks with a couple people, but I want to confirm something for very very soon. A title sponsor and then like an equipment sponsor because Rarity Dale is helping me with all the play mats and gems and TTT coins and stuff like that. So we want to sponsor for all that stuff too. But a lot of cool stuff in development with that. And then the fitness side of things. I'm always developing and growing that side of things. So look for that probably about 100 days out. So in about a month, probably like early to mid May, I'll drop the get fit for or get strong for VCon thing. But dude, yeah, that's what I got brewing. Besides that, just jump on the show. Basically every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday is my set schedule. I'm a support of the community. I've been going for Thursdays for a long time, and I know like tonight, Rob, Mr. Messer, was planning a trivia night, so I'm not going to show tonight. You know, I'm gonna show my respect to that aspect of the community, trying to build and do something really fun for the community. I'm not going to compete with that because I don't want to take away from something that seems like it would be that much fun.
Understood.
So I'll be back on Saturday for some CNC play, and then Monday for a whatnot auction, and next Thursday for community night, and that's just sort of how I roll. I have a few other things up my sleeve for some cool additions to the show, but they're not ironed out yet, so I don't want to like jinx them or
Yeah,
anything.
you're always doing something last minute, man, but you always got some good surprises or something. I'm never disappointed. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in and checking that out. Everybody who's been coming in and out of the chats, thank you for showing love and support. Or everyone who's been tuning in, I really appreciate it. Make sure you go and follow Josh. Make sure that you go and check out his stream on the Courage Show. And thank you guys for tuning in. Josh, thank you once again, man. I really appreciate it.
I
I'm looking
appreciate you, man.
forward. I thank you, man. I'm looking forward to what you got working on next, man. I'm always jumping in and out of the stream, so I'll be sure to see if I can jump into the next thing. And yeah, man, I love y'all. Stay safe and have a great day. Peace.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
Take care, man.